talking lion, he's thinking of the Lion King.
Yeah.
Where essentially those lions are just humans acting like humans act.
What's the worst animal that if it could talk, you'd be scared of? If a spider came up to you and went, Carl, I'm gonna fucking bite you.
That wouldn't really bother me.
No? What about an alligator going, Carl?
Crocodiles and owls.
Crocodiles now. So if a crocodile you went out, right? You open the bedroom door and there's a crocodile and he's broken in, and you go, oh, and he goes, yeah, I'd if I was you, because I'm gonna fucking crunch through your head and then I'm gonna swallow you. I'm gonna drag you under in my lager, right, and get you till you soften, and I'm gonna rip your limbs off by twisting in the water. How would you like that, you round-headed little fucker?
I just shut the door.
Well, no, don't shut the door, mate, because that'd just make me angrier. So
Not bothered.
Well, why
be in here?
What?
Shouldn't even be in here.
No, but why don't you go, alright, let's talk about this.
No, I wouldn't talk about it because there's no reasoning with him.
Why?
He's a lunatic.
And what's an owl going to say to you that'll freak you out?
It's just more
Something
of a shock. There's something weird about that. I could imagine him sort of. It's that look, you know. It's the same sort of thing as the fella out of the Sparks. That
Yeah.
sort of head turn.
Yeah.
And I can imagine it doing that and then sort of going.
Do you know why
"What
they
are you
turn
doing?"
their head?
Well, just to look around.
Yeah, because they can't take up the whole skull, and they can't move them within the in the skull, so they have to move their head.
Why are you looking at me?
So I hope you enjoyed that little free.
I'd have thought they would have.
Free tester, isn't it?
It's free.
It's free, isn't it? Yeah, a little, just a little sample there.
Yeah,
of,
don't
of
complain
things.
if it's free.
No,
Just
no,
enjoy it.
no, little bonus material, a little a snippet.
Are they complaining because it's
No,
free?
no,
I mean,
if they are.
well, that just seems unfair.
Fuck 'em. If they are complaining, fuck 'em.
Well, it's not fair 'cause it's fucking free.
Fuck 'em. But if you have enjoyed this, then download the full unexpurgated 50-minute version of a Ricky Gervais guide to medicine.
How can people get hold of that?
They just download it on iTunes. You know, you can't argue with a quid or so, can you? You know what I mean? And that's available New Year's Eve.
Can you get it anywhere else?
Audible.co.uk.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Ricky Gervais. As the Canadian physician William Osler once said, the desire to take medicine is perhaps the greatest feature which distinguishes man from animals. From keyhole surgery to stem cell research, modern medicine enables the 20th century man to play God. But how did we get here? What incremental advances through the ages gave birth to the medical wonders of today? Here to discuss the history and practice of medicine are Stephen Merchant, graduate from the University of Warwick and now award-winning writer.
Thank you very much indeed.
And Carl Pilkington, a man with no qualifications, very little education, but who is now known the world over as a shaven chimp with a head like a fucking orange.
Alright.
Well, there is obviously so much to discuss, Ricky. I wonder, in an effort just to provoke some initial thoughts, if I can offer another quote from the great Carl Sagan, who said, advances in medicine and agriculture have saved vastly more lives than have been lost in all the wars in history. So quite a...
Yeah, just shows you shouldn't really worry about war.
What do you mean?
It's not a big problem, is it? Obviously. So, that's a good point there, Carl. No, war's not as bad as a lot of people make out. What do you think, Carl? Overrated? Too much fuss about all...
Well, I don't know anyone who's died in a war, but I know loads of people who have died from, you know, cancer and what have you. So is that going on Carl's quote? Does that work? Is he right? What did he say?
Good, well we're off to a fascinating start. I think it's probably best, Rick, if we return to the very beginning of time, the dawn of man, because of course even in primitive prehistoric ages medicine was practiced in some ways from the research people have done, cave paintings and the like. Carl, I wonder if you would just give us your initial thoughts on you know, the medicine of the ancient world.
You've not... You sound like you haven't studied it, or you're being...
You be modest.
You're being modest?
Never really thought about it.
What do you think?
They didn't have much. I know that Tutankhamun,
Tutankhamun.
he died of having a knee injury, so they didn't have that much medicine knocking about back then.
Right, where do you get this information from? It sounds vague.
I read it at an exhibition I went to, and they
Did you read the whole sentence, or just...
No, I just saw they had some video footage made up. It wasn't from the time, and they just sort of said this is probably what happened.
Sure. Did you put the headphones on and listen, though, or do you just guess it from
I
the
just
pictures?
looked because I couldn't have the headphones.
Of course not.
Why couldn't you have the headphones?
They're expensive.
How much?
About £50, I think, deposit and everything.
Well, you get that
It's a
back
deposit,
though if you
isn't it?
return them. All you have to do is take them
I
off your
don't
head
like
and
the
hand them
idea
in.
of handing money over because it's like when you get a flat and that and you put a deposit in, you never get the full deposit back. I don't like deposits.
Well, what do you
Trust
think?
me.
What do you think they're
I'm
going to do?
going to
They're going to take 50 quid off because you put wallpaper on your headphones.
No, but it's
not the same, is it?
Tutankhamun exhibition.
So you're going to deprive yourself of education because you
I
don't
didn't
trust...
deprive me. I saw it.
the
I saw
Natural
these
History
things.
Museum.
It came off a chariot. The dangerous things.
He came off a chariot. You saw that on the... How do you know he died? How could you tell from visual images that Tutankhamun died from a knee injury?
It's just, honestly, you're going to make yourself look daft here because that's what happened.
Imagine that in a room with Carl Pilkington, we make ourselves look daft. How would we have to? That would be incredible.
So aside from Tutankhamun's knee injury, that's pretty much your grasp of the ancient world of medicine?
Well, I don't know anyone else who's knocking about.
Well, what about if we go back even further? What about if we go to sort of primitive man, cave-dwelling man? What do you know there of medicine in that early stage?
They didn't really bother.
Okay, is that guessing or
Wasn't the earliest ones like people like shaman and those
absolutely, of course,
tribal lords that would say, well, that was I assume even pagan man had sort of apothecaries that certain roots and
yeah, shaman who would use herbs and so on. But of course, if we go back to primitive man, you're obviously familiar. I believe it's pronounced. Is it trepanning?
Oh, when you take the top of your head off and let out the demons. And
they found various skulls from ancient man with holes bored in the top, some of which had healed over, suggesting that they had indeed drilled holes in their head, or presumably they wouldn't have had drills in that point, cracked the head, and in their thinking letting out evil spirits, and then they healed back over. So in some instances, the people survived.
Don't you think it's fascinating that there was one point when man discovered that this thing that we now call the brain, which sort of houses the mind, he knew was in his head?
It's not that amazing.
Well, no, it's not to you because you know it's there. But
but back then, I reckon I'd know that's where it is.
Why? Can you feel where you're thinking?
Well, it just makes sense to put it there.
Why?
When you think and you speak, it comes out your mouth. So it just makes sense that whatever's near that is near to the mouth. If your brain was in your foot, it'd take ages for you to say anything.
No, it wouldn't. Why?
Yeah. This is like actually talking to a primitive man about his understanding of medicine. They would have more insight. By this point, we'd have just cracked open your head to get the demons out. Shall we move on to the ancient world in terms of Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, of course, because they made huge advances, particularly the Romans, who understood, of course, the importance of sanitation. Famously, their streets were clean.
Yeah. Don't you think that if we hadn't have cleaned up as much, that, I don't know, we'd be stronger?
What?
Well, I know what you mean. Yeah, they
say
let your kids eat dirt.
Mud
Yeah,
and all
of course.
that.
Well, that's building up its sort of immunity system. If you're too cosseted, you don't fight it. And that's exactly what immunisation is, giving you a bit.
Yeah, but
of
it's
the
gone
disease.
mental now. Whenever a baby's born, he's drugged out of its eyeballs. It's only about a week old. They're giving it all sorts of shots.
Like what?
Loads of stuff for whooping cough.
Yeah, you don't want whooping
sugar
cough.
lumps.
Tutankhamun could have died of whooping
No,
cough.
but did you give it loads of stuff, and now it's like I don't know. It's making us weak.
Yeah. Soon there's going to be things that, one, we're not immune to, and two, our antibiotics no longer work, because of course things like the viruses and bacteria or whatever, they evolve and change so quickly that you can't keep up with them, and also there's this big thing, like the superbug, for example. There's a very strong theory that says that it's where people took half the course of antibiotics and what it did was it was almost like an immunisation to the bacteria and virus against the antibiotic. They got stronger.
That's what I mean.
So yeah, we need some germs, as you'd call them, but there are some that we have eradicated. I mean, I think it was in our lifetime that they eradicated smallpox from the world. They just stopped it, and it saved, I mean, millions and millions of lives, and they wiped it out.
There are rumours, of course, that both Russia and America still have the smallpox virus under lock and key, which they could theoretically breed and use in a chemical warfare situation.
Well, there was a bit of a scandal a few years ago, I think 10 years ago, where in a university laboratory, someone came across a marked yogurt pot in deep freeze that had smallpox in it. That was a hangover from the 70s.
When you say it was marked, was it like someone's put their name on it because they don't want someone to eat their smallpox yogurt?
I think they looked into it, and it was the deep frozen smallpox virus that thawed out.
They
and
just
released.
left in the fridge.
Well, I think so. Yeah, it was an admin
understand.
problem. I'm sure that somewhere. What I mean is, it's under lock and key or frozen at minus 200 degrees centigrade. Why?
Under lock and key and all that. It's not good enough. Get rid of it. Why are they keeping a little tub of smallpox knocking about?
Well, are they not meant to be?
Well, that's a lesson.
What's he doing there in the first place? To me, that's like in James Bond, where they don't kill him when they have the chance. There's always that little thing of, let's play with danger. Let's keep a bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably next to AIDS in the Chiara bottle. I don't understand why you'd store that.
Well, there's probably a presumption, it's probably an overhang from the Cold War, where people were thinking, well, listen, what if Russia's still got some smallpox? We better hang on to some smallpox.
It's just clutter though as well, isn't it? You see, we're obsessed with keeping stuff. And it's the same with germs. We can't even say, get rid of that, we won't be needing it. Smallpox, we'll keep it just in case, get rid of it. We've got this obsession thing again, it's saving everything. It's like how we save every animal, even a germ. We get upset about if it dies out.
Yeah, but you say that, but of course, famously Alexander Fleming discovered what may be the most important breakthrough of the 20th century, which was the first antibiotic, I think, in 1928, and he's literally saved hundreds of millions of lives with that, changed the face of modern medicine, and he discovered that because he left a bit of old bread out for a while, and it went all mouldy in his kitchen, and he thought, what's that? Let's have a look.
Like I've said to you before, it's down to him being scruffy more than anything. It just seems like there's a lot of scruffy kitchens around that. I mean, you're saying.
But think if his cleaner had come in and gone, "Oh, Mr. Fleming, you disgust me, you fucking filthy scruffy cunt. I'm gonna throw all this bread away." He's gonna go, Maud, what'd you do with that old bread I left out? It'd gone green, sir, so I chucked it away. Oh, Maud, you dopey fucking slut. You've just caused millions and millions of people to die. Keep out of my fucking kitchen.
I know, but don't put it there. It's the same way smallpox in a yogurt pot. It's in a yogurt pot.
Wow.
You're asking for trouble.
But what if Maud had come in and thrown that away? Again?
He couldn't shout at her. She's doing a job. I'd be annoyed if it was still there.
Yeah.
I'd say it's been here now for a couple of weeks. You haven't even asked. There's a lot of cleaners. That's part of the problem, I'd say. The cleaners. They're not doing the job. That's the problem in hospitals, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's filth everywhere.
Well, they proved a point. In one hospital, they brought a team of people in to show doctors and nurses how to clean things properly, and deaths went down 30%.
There you go.
Just from properly washing your hands and properly washing the floor and things. That's amazing, isn't it?
It's pretty simple. Just don't put like yogurt pots with smallpox in the fridge.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a starter.
Yeah, but you were saying earlier, let's let babies eat mud, don't inject them.
Yeah, but
let them crawl around a dirty floor, clean up the floor, and no one will die.
I did say that, but we've gone too far now. Babies are coming out mad. Oh, they can't handle anything now. Oh, he's got a runny nose. They're coming out all mardy.
Get mardy?
Yeah, they get ill easy. They're not tough babies anymore. We're ending up with a load of weak people who need looking after all the time. That costs a lot of money. And they can't do anything. They're useless. Now that doesn't happen in other nature. If a little weak bird is born, you see Bill Oddie saying that was last He says that won't last a week, and he's right. You watch it and you say, "Oh, that third baby that came out, it died," and
But
he
what's
was right.
your point, Carl? That modern
My
medicine,
point-
which can help people live to the age of 75, 80, that it shouldn't be doing that? It should
just-
let people just die off?
Well, here's something, right? The estate that I grew up on, there's a woman there,
Yeah.
Scruffy Sandra. her name was.
I like her already. Oh, it's great. It's so descriptive.
Now-
She had no chance, even if she cleaned up her act.
Yeah.
She'd come in looking like Pretty Woman. You go, all right, Scruffy.
No,
What's the point? What is the point?
So the thing is, she used to always get on these buses called dialer rides that were sort of like posh taxis. You could call for one 50p, but
But it
you
would
were
pick
like,
up a bunch of other people as well.
yeah, on the way. So it would take ages
Oh,
to
what
get
a
to where you're
nightmare
going.
that is.
Oh, it's good though. It's kind of a bit of a day out. Old people used to love it because you'd
Right.
get to see things.
Right.
And you'd hear a call coming in on the radio that Scruffy Sandra's being picked up, and you go, oh god. And she'd always have loads of bin bags with her for some reason. Now the thing is,
Well, she sounds clean.
she stunk.
Well, she's taken out the
Was
bin
she
bag,
homeless?
No, she wasn't homeless. No, she used to just she just didn't bath and that. She just stunk. But the weird thing is,
then. Why don't they call her Stinky Sandra?
she never was ill.
Right.
People didn't sit next to her
Yeah.
because she stunk.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, anyone who might have had a bit of flu or a cold never sat next to Scruffy Sandra
Right.
because she stunk. But that was good. That was like a protection thing for her because she knew that because she stunk, no one wants to sit next to her. She wouldn't pick up the germ.
Right. No, but this is quite... Your point is, in order to fend off illness, you have to not bathe. And so you stink.
So you're saying that it wasn't that she'd built up an immunity, it was that she stank so much that flu wouldn't come near her.
This
Could be
is
a lot
such
of
a
you.
specific example. It's not applicable in any other scenario.
There's always colds, there's always flu. It's whether your immunity is good or bad. The times I get ill are usually after like a long haul flight or something, when you're surrounded by it and you're run down a little bit. Or
Maybe if
know,
you didn't bathe for 3 days before
Yeah.
the flight.
Yeah. So it's always there. There's colds and flus everywhere. That's interesting, isn't it? That more sort of colds are spread through shaking hands than people, just taking in the air, because people sneeze into their hand and they think that's sort of safer. But then they shake hands and you get it on your hand and it sort of dies in the air quickly, but it stays on your skin a bit more because it's you're nice and warm, lovely environment. So that's why some sort of germaphobes don't even shake hands anymore.
Yeah, but that's going too far because they're going to die or something. You can't be that paranoid. You've got to get on with your life.
Loneliness.
And it's good to feel ill because when you feel better, you appreciate how good
Doesn't
you feel.
make any sense at all.
No,
It's good to feel ill. Doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it does afterwards. The other weekend when I was ill, I don't know what was up with me, but I got something.
Symptoms?
Went to the toilet a lot, felt sick at the same time, got a sweat on, felt weak, had the shakes.
Just a bug, yeah.
Lasted probably about 24 hours. After that 24 hours, you go, oh, I feel good again. It's nice to feel good again. And it makes you appreciate how good you feel. Now, sometimes I don't know if I feel well.
Doesn't make any sense at all either. What do you mean? Sometimes you don't know whether you feel well.
Because I've been in my body for years.
Here he goes again.
Go on, yeah.
Here he goes again.
Now,
the two minds.
If there was some sort of kit that the doctor said, how are you feeling, Mr. Pilkington? I go, oh, I think I feel alright. And they go, well, do you? I don't know. And they go, well, step into the machine, right? Get into the machine, and if he could somehow transfer my feeling into his body so I could feel how he feels, and then he can feel how I feel, and he'll go, oh, you're not well at all. Your heartbeat's irregular for a start.
You're a maniac.
This is... I
No.
don't know what's going on here.
Because-
Why don't you
you
just
get used-
accept that if you feel well,
Because you don't know if you
Hang
feel
on, let's
well.
get this machine built. Sorry, why are people bothering studying AIDS? We've got to get this machine built.
Listen, this machine could do a lot of good if they could do it.
Why?
Because some people, you hear about people who go, oh, I think I've got a bit of wind. Before you know it, they drop down dead. Right? Because
Right.
they didn't know. They just, well, didn't Mr. Jones have a sweat on, Mrs. Jones, before? Oh yeah, he did, but he always had a sweat on. Well, didn't it bother him? No, he was used to it. Happened for years. Why didn't you come in? Oh,
So,
he
and
felt
what would the
alright.
machine do again?
The machine would make my doctor
Yeah.
feel like me. He'd be sat there and he'd go,
Sorry, who's saying to Mrs. Jones, didn't Mr. Jones have a sweat on?
The doctor.
So the doctor knew he had a sweat on. Why didn't the doctor say, well,
No.
look at that?
No, he didn't. He
no,
asked,
didn't.
he asked
He's not a
Mrs.
very
Jones.
good doctor, though, is he? He's not a very good doctor, then.
Yeah, but this is the problem now, isn't it?
Right, so
Because there's too
Mr.
many
Jones
ill
went to the
people.
doctor and said, oh, I've got a sweat on, right?
Right, so he'd go, well, I'll tell you what, get in the machine. So Mr. Jones gets in the machine.
Yeah.
The doctor hits the button. Mr. Jones gets into the doctor. The doctor
Right.
goes, you have got a sweat on. I'm familiar with this because I had a fella in the other day with a similar thing. Take 3 of these.
You are amazing.